Welcome back to the Rick and Dafs podcast. I'm Dafs.
And I'm Rick.
And as always, we are here unscripted and raw.
Dafs, are you having a good day?
I'm having a great day. It is a Saturday. I slept in. I am having some delicious Viking Blood, which is mead or honey wine. I'm all about it.
How very Norwegian of you.
Mm-hmm. It is Danish.
Oh, there you go. Do they count as part of? They're Scandinavian, right?
They do. So
but
I
even
did
though
not
they're
realize
not like
this.
attached, it's weird. I don't understand how that works.
So that's the thing. So I found out that the areas that are considered part of Scandinavia or Scandinavian countries is Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. Mm-hmm. It does not include Finland, even though Finland's on that little hangy bit.
Russian.
Yeah. Too Russian.
Yeah. Well, if Denmark owns Greenland, does that make it part of Scandinavia?
Greenland is oftentimes incorporated into Scandinavia, as is Iceland, because that's where the route went. And believe it or not, a very large section of northern Scotland was inhabited by the Vikings.
Oh yeah, they killed almost everyone.
Yeah, so you have a massive amount of people who are like me, who are Scottish and Swedish, and you go, how did that happen? And we go, let's not talk about it.
Let's just say all the men were dead. Yeah, there's this great podcast called Rex Factor that went through all the kings and queens of England and then Scotland as well. But there's like a whole big section where the Vikings come in and just like kill everyone. And it goes from like King George or whoever, and then it's all of a sudden Sven. Like all of a sudden it's the super like Jorgenhammer the third. You're like, I wonder what happened to George. Yeah. I don't think he retired to the Bahamas. I think he's dead.
Yeah, the Vikings were a little too good at playing with others, if you understand my drift. But yeah, so anyways, we are here. We are drinking some mead, and we are here to talk about what, Rick?
Well, we have two segments we're doing today. It's no thought of the week this week, but we are gonna play a new game called 3 Steps or Less, where we try and fix a problem afflicting the common man or woman in 3 steps or less.
Yeah, I'm really all about this.
I think it could be fun. It could be challenging, though. 3 steps or less is not many steps.
No, and some of those steps might have to be pretty big.
As indicated by Alcoholics Anonymous, it takes 12 steps to do anything. So we're going to try and do it in a fourth of that. So it probably won't work. And then we're going to do the news, of course. And then we're going on to discuss what would happen if we like kind of reimagined how student debts were collected, either through bounty programs or gambling.
Yeah, I am very excited about this one. It's going to create jobs and entertainment.
And it's going to fix the economy.
It will.
That could be one of your steps, 3 steps or less.
Also helps with dandruff. Works on hair, body, shampoo, interior, upholstery.
Aches and pains.
Does your taxes.
Cures your meningitis. Side note, meningitis is very serious. If you have it, you should go to the hospital right away. Okay. Dafs in 3 steps or less. Now we each get 3 steps. So we can't combine. Our plans are separate. 3 steps or less. First topic. 3 steps or less. How would you fix the game of baseball?
I would say sand pits.
What? Sand? Like sand traps?
You heard me right. Yes. So basically, you'd have regular baseball, but it would be played on a field much more like a golf course. So there would be water hazard. There would be sand traps.
So if you hit the ball into the water hazard, then what happens?
Baseballs float. So you're golden. But the outfielder has to get that and then
So
throw it back in.
scoring would be a lot higher, I guess.
It would be so much higher. And if you hit it into the sand trap, that's fine. Not a big deal. But if you hit it past a sand trap, imagine being an outfielder having to like hurdle over a sand trap. It's not so easy. Suddenly, these pop-up fly balls aren't just gimmies for the outfielders to say, oh, hang on, I'll walk casually over to it and catch it and you're out. No, every single one of those is live or die.
See, I don't think there should be full sand traps. I like the sand trap idea. If I was going to amend yours, which I can't really do because it's your steps, but I would put the sand traps in like small places or the water hazards. So they're not like huge where you could just try and hit it in there, but they're just scattered throughout. So it's just like a broken ankle waiting to happen.
Yeah, I'm not imagining that you have like an entire like pond or something in the very center because people will just aim for that. But if you had like a river, like a small creek running through the middle that you had a hurdle and there was no bridge,
yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, that's step one. So you've introduced a creek into the outfield. Every stadium now has to have a creek in the outfield. Okay.
And just like Boston with the Green Monster, like different creeks would be different sizes. Okay. Some would be larger than
There's
others.
There's like a raging river. Like
some would be deeper than others.
City Park or whatever ours is called now. It just like has like a raging river that goes through it. We're like, our outfielders are very athletic.
We have salmon going through it. That's how we fixed the salmon spawn.
They're spawning. Oh gosh.
You could just run over the top of them. They pack them in so well.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so that'd be my step one. How about you?
No, you have to finish.
Oh, you want to do all three at once?
Yeah,
okay,
you have to do all three.
All right. So step number 2, step the second, would have to be playing with a different ball.
Oh.
And the reason why I say that is because people are getting constantly hurt by foul balls. There's been actually a bunch of people who've been really injured lately by foul balls. But a tennis ball really can't do that much damage. And man, can those things sail. Like, you can hit those things a mile. So you'd have a better chance at really high pop-ups or at, like, really good distance on them. But also, anyone in the stands could just, like, throw a hand up and catch it. It wouldn't be like you're risking someone's life.
That's a surprisingly practical decision. So that's step 2. So a river, a hazard in the middle of the stadium. 2, the ball is now a tennis ball. Okay. And step 3?
Step 3 is there's no more forced outs.
What does that mean?
So for instance, if you're on first base and I'm batting, if I hit it to someone and they toss it to second and you're not at second yet.
Oh yeah,
that's a forced out. Their ball's already there.
Okay. So what now? You have to tag them?
You have to tag them.
Oh, okay.
So every single person has to be tagged. But if you get to the base, you're safe. Essentially, it's the person who has the ball has to stop you from getting to the base. So we're talking like full contact. They still have to stay in the line. But now every single one of those bases is like sliding into home where you can hit the catcher. And you just lean a shoulder in and take them down.
I think what's interesting about your plan is that it's to make the game safer for fans, but far more dangerous for the players.
Oh, absolutely. You're getting paid millions of dollars. I do not have your best interest in mind. I'm so sorry.
That's football in a nutshell right there. Dafs is just like staring off into space. What are you looking at?
I don't know if you can hear that on the microphone, but there's something rubbing against the window on the outside. I'm thinking it's one of the cats.
Oh.
But there's like tapping on the window, and I'm like, what is that?
Are you just a little bit nervous because Stacy's gone? She's not here to protect you.
Right.
Because we all know if a burglar breaks in, you're not taking care of that. She's taking care of that.
Spiders are more my thing. I'll take care of a spider.
Take care of a spider?
A burglar, that's Stacy.
That's Stacy's domain.
We'll both use baseball bats, but one of them's overkill and one of them is appropriate.
I'm going to use a baseball bat. Somebody breaks into my home. Okay, back to the game. So you are there's a river running through every stadium, using a tennis ball, and everybody must be tagged out.
Yep. No force outs.
Would I be more likely to watch this product?
At first, for sure.
Yeah, at the very beginning, I would definitely watch it. The water hazard, I'm a little bit dubious of, because like if I'm just going to be constantly seeing like, although watching somebody fall in a river is pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
So
and it doesn't have to be a huge river. Like they could easily ford it.
Fjord the river. They've got like a raft set up,
right? Like I mean, it's.
Could there be a rule that like the raft can't be there, but if he constructs the raft during the game, that they can use it?
I would 100% allow that. I would even allow those little pool skimmers they have that take the leaves out of a pool in fall time. You could have one of those and you could flick the ball out with that. That sounds fine.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, a pool skimmer. I like that. Yeah, he's got a pull. What if you grab that on the way? Maybe you can't be holding it, but you can grab it on the way, and then you can dive. And if you catch it in there, then that's
100% allowed. I would say.
I would say that's not just an out. That's worth 2 outs.
ESPN highlights would be so much more interesting.
That's true.
Can you imagine playing in Florida? Just alligators in every single river. You'd be losing outfielders left and right.
They would all of a sudden be highly paid.
They'd be like, "Get it! It's gonna be a home run," and he's like, "It's not worth it, man.
I have my children to think of.
My contract ends at the end of this season. Sign me again, and then we'll talk."
Okay. All right. So that's your list. Here's my list. And just as a heads up, so you can start thinking, the next one we're going to do is toll roads. So my list, the first one is probably the easiest one for me. The pitchers just stand there forever, like looking at the catcher, looking at the base. If there's somebody on base, they're like just looking around or like backing off. Like no more of that. Because the ball will get hotter the longer that it's stationary. So like it's literally a hot potato. So if this guy's holding onto the ball for like a minute, his hand's gonna get burned. So that's gonna speed up the play of the game significantly, I would think. Wouldn't you think?
I would think so.
Yeah,
I would say only one person has like an iron glove or something like or like an UV glove. It's like made from that like Kevlar.
Maybe like the catcher.
Stuff. Yeah,
he gets it.
Everyone else, it's like, all right, are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Start.
Right. Yeah. Get set up now.
He throws it to the pitcher. Pitcher goes 1, 2, 3, throws it in. Like you definitely would have fast. Every play would end at home.
Yeah, for sure. Like there wouldn't be any holding on to the ball.
No.
I like that. I think it would also like you'd have to make it some like rule. Now this like would be as part of that would prevent the batter from constantly stepping out. Mm-hmm. Like calling time and all that stuff. Like something would have to happen to him. Maybe he would get shocked. He would have to like be shocked if he called time out. The other thing is like if the pitcher drops the ball because it's too hot, I mean, then that guy could just take off running.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I like that. I feel like that would speed up the play of the game significantly. We might get to see some humorous situations where the ball's too hot. Maybe at the beginning it malfunctions and it's just hot all the time. I like that. Rule change number 2. Catching a foul ball means that player is out if you're in the stands. So if that ball is caught, then it's out. So it incentivizes the home team to like catch the foul balls of the other players, the opposing team, and then 2, it also gives us humorous situations where they'll be trying not to catch it, but also trying not to be horribly injured if it's their own player that's hit the ball.
You just see them like holding up like cookie sheets or some kind of like shields to like
Yeah.
deflect it away from
Yeah,
them without having it
like
like
in Seattle we had the King's Court for a while where you'd get like a
Mhm.
shirt or whatever and you'd like all like do the King's like King Felix's chant. But maybe instead they'd have like shield knights where you'd get like a Spartan shield to protect yourself from foul balls.
super hot foul balls that
Yeah, incredibly hot foul balls that could
can you imagine how much that would stimulate people seeing their teams when they're at away games? Like
right? Knocking the balls away.
Well, if I followed the Mariners, I'd be like, no, don't catch the foul ball. So I'm trying to deflect it, and then I'm trying to catch the home team's foul ball, and
Right.
they're trying. The fans are trying to stop me.
Right.
It might lead to some fights.
It would
I think it's
definitely lead to violence.
I think it's worth it.
I think it's worth it too. Here's the other thing. The stakes are high. Say your team's in the playoffs. Your guy hits a foul ball. Your player hits a foul ball. It's headed straight for your grandma's face. But like it's like the end innings. Your team's losing. They need a run. Do you save your grandma? Or do you sacrifice her for the greater good?
I think you would have a lot of fans showing up without any like insignias or like
Right.
telling things of which way they were leaning, and everyone around them would be like, "Who are you rooting for?" And they're like, "I'm just here to see a good game."
The
And then,
teams
like,
start paying people.
at the moment like that a foul ball comes there, you find out who is really rooting for who.
Right.
Everyone's just wearing like beige.
They're all wearing tan clothes. I like that. I really like your sand pit. I feel like there needs to be some way to I feel like every third inning should be played on sand. Now, of course, like this requires like the ability to quick change the entire field surface, but I feel like if the ball I feel like if all of a sudden now like you're playing in the sand, like runners are going to have to really run really hard.
Yeah, knees to chest. It's none of this like strolling around the bases.
Yeah, everything is sand. So like there's going to be a lot more like falling. People are going to fall over more. Maybe there's a mud pit somewhere. I don't know.
No longer will baseball players be able to be just big fat guys who can hit real hard.
Yeah, because you've got to be able to make it to the bases.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I like that. Yeah, every few innings, it's like if I was flipping through channels and I was like, oh, yes, it's the sand inning. All right. So like the third, the sixth, and the ninth innings are all played on sand.
And the ninth is where it's at.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most exciting part of the whole game.
Exactly. Now, see, those are my three that I chose, but like my others possibilities was like definitely a mercy rules. Like if you're up by 5, like I don't like whatever, the game's over. 5-0, game over. Nobody needs to sit through this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely better than my last idea, which was releasing a live bear into the arena at random. And see here, I actually did write this down. It's there. I'm not making that up.
What if, like, in the 7th inning stretch, everything was stretch? They're like, all the hot dogs are now 2-foot-long hot dogs instead of 1-foot-long hot dogs.
Yes.
All the sandwiches are, like, extra-long submarine sandwiches. Like, your concessions would go through the roof.
Yeah, totally.
The bat is twice as long.
The ball is twice as big.
Like, you'd have to, like, step way forward so you wouldn't hit the catcher with the bat as you swing it. Like, it would definitely change a lot of things.
There are twice as many players batting at once. Oh, that would be a great rule change. 2 batters.
Man, there'd be so many injuries.
How about this? Now, before I say this, on merit, I feel like a combination of both of our ideas would be best. I don't like your tennis ball idea at all.
Oh, I love.
I do like the river, however, and
Hmm.
I like my heated baseball. And then it could be a toss up of whatever. But how about this? You could I would almost maybe substitute this as my rule change for one of the others. What if instead of like you get to decide however you want to use your outs? So like what if you're like we're going to have three batters up no matter what. So actually we're going to send two of them out at once. And one of them's bound to make contact. But here's the thing, like if one of them hits the ball and it gets caught, like then both of them are out.
And if they hit it,
Then they both get to
both
run.
yeah, but in opposite directions.
What?
That's. I mean, how else are you going to do it? You're going to have two people on the same base? No, that's
No,
impossible.
they have one of them would have to make it to second. See,
I mean,
I like that strategy because then, like, if you're like, okay, we really need a hit. Like, I guess it depends on like how many people were able to get baseball hits, like with two baseball players hitting a baseball at the same time.
or is he allowed to run directly to second, like across the pitcher's mound?
Ooh, I don't know. It is twice as far.
It's like a third more as far, I think. But yeah, like, so he'd be able to like go directly to second across the pitcher's mound while the guy runs to first,
I don't know.
and then
We'd have to discuss that rule, but that's actually my third rule change. I like that one. What do you think?
I think it's pretty good.
Okay. I think we've solved baseball. Let's move on. Toll roads. How would you solve toll roads, Dafs?
I would get rid of all of them.
Step one, remove toll roads.
The
Problem.
government has enough money as it is to have an infrastructure that is supported.
See, you're playing the game. You're not playing the game. That's lame. You're lame.
I mean, like, honestly, growing up in Chicago where toll roads were like ubiquitous and they were horrible, like they've tried everything from like you don't have to slow down anymore, and now it's open road tolling, and now it's what it never makes them better. The roads in Chicago are still as bad as they were when I was like a child. They never improved.
How about this secret competition? You get on the toll road. As soon as you get on, it's like toll road gambling. It's a
Ooh.
random challenge. You're like, it's like you see this thing. It's like, and it's like, who can drive closest to the speed limit for the longest during this next mile? Winner doesn't have to pay the toll. So then there's a lot of strategy because then, you can't just put cruise control on because there might be traffic.
Mm-hmm.
So, you got to figure it out. Maybe the first one to finish the mile gets it. I don't know. I feel like one, that would speed up traffic. Two, like you could have some humorous comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about that. So that's my first suggestion.
I mean, I definitely think that if you are, I think one thing that Washington State does have going for it is that if you are in a carpool lane, like you have three people in your car, you don't get tolled. Like that just makes so much more sense to me. Like I shouldn't have to pay toll if I'm carpooling.
I don't like that they made it 3 though. I think it should still be
three's
2.
kind of high.
That's hard.
Although it's a little ridiculous to me when people are like dropping their kid off at work and like the kid counts as a second person, and I'm like, come on.
Hey, if they get
That kid was-
if they get in a car crash, who's going to the hospital? How many people?
That's true.
See,
but
that's why
also,
my second rule would be pregnant women get to drive for free.
yeah. I mean,
I feel like once you're pregnant, carpool lanes a go.
I mean, I think that's fine. I think it's also fine when they have the parking spots closest to the store that are for expected mothers. And I'm like, yeah, okay. It does always kind of annoy me though when someone's like, "I'm 3 weeks pregnant," and I was like,
Right.
just walk, just walk. Like you're fine. And also, I can't prove that, so
Right? Everyone can just say they're 3 weeks pregnant. They should just change it second trimester and on.
you got to look huge. All right.
You have to be whalish.
Wait, they're Welsh?
That's right. So yes, toll road competitions. Step 1. I think step 2 would be, just to make it better, there should be a ramp somewhere where you get to go off of a jump. I mean, I don't know. At least something cool. Like maybe like an obstacle course for part of it. You're like, I'm on the toll road, but I'm in the cool obstacle lane. It's twice as big.
I do really like that Seattle has express lanes where you cannot get on or off like for like 10 miles. It's like you're getting out of the city and that's it. I think we should do that, but more so. I think that if you took every single semi truck that was going through Seattle, but not to Seattle, and we're just like, you have one lane and it does not get out, like, there you go. It would be so much faster to have all the semis and all like the major trucking industry just like not on the same road that you're on. And if you were going from like Vancouver to Portland, like you would just stay in that lane. You wouldn't have to like deal with Seattle traffic at all. That makes so much more sense to me.
Yeah, so like you pay like a small toll, but then you never have to get off the road. I like
Absolutely.
that. That would definitely fix the toll roads.
Yeah.
Wow. You fixed it in one step. Congratulations. I don't think we need to dwell on that one. Let's go next. 3 steps are left, Dafs. How would you fix the grocery store?
I do really like that Amazon Go has it set up where you can just pick things up, put them in your basket, and then leave. Because you don't have to actually like bag any of your groceries. You just bring your shopping cart in, put your bags in it, and then load as you buy. You just put them in and then walks directly out, and it knows what you picked up and how much to charge you. I feel like that is like truly the one step to start things off to make it better. And I'm all about that. If we can combine that with what like Walmart is doing, and again, I'm not usually a big fan of Walmart, but man, they have it where you just tell them what you want ahead of time, and they just put it in bags for you, and then you just drive up, and they'll just load it into the back of your car, which is crazy. It's like drive-through grocery shopping. And I thought, yeah, I mean, if you're handicapped or if you're, older, that's great. My sister, though, said, do you have any idea how hard it is to get 3 young boys under 7 through a grocery store and do all your shopping and then get out? She's like, it is hell. There is nothing worse than that. And she's like, I go to Walmart all the time because I can pull the car up. The kids are still in their car seats. They load it in the back and no one begs for candy or toys. And I was like, that makes sense. So having a personal shopper do that for you, but one that knows you. Like, that's the thing I think that would really help. Like all the older people returning to the workforce who can't yet retire, they're 70 years old or whatever. Like, if I knew that my grocery shopper was Agnes and she knew how to pick out a decent melon and wasn't some kid who just threw in like randomly and put eggs on the bottom. No, give me someone who knows how to grocery shop and would have recommendations for me.
Oh my god.
She'd be like, Agnes is like, hey, I've been your grocery personal shopper here for, whatever. I noticed that you and this person from the other side of town, they get almost the exact same thing, but they've been making this really great shrimp quinoa salad. I think you'd like it. Do you want to give that a try? And you'd be like, yeah, give me the ingredients. Give it a try. That'd be so great. You get like recipes from like little old ladies who are doing your shopping for you.
Okay, let's deep dive down on this one idea, and then we'll move on to the news. One, I like this idea because I would like to like log on to the website, and there would be like they each have like special powers, and it's like Agnes can tell a ripe melon from a fresh melon. She knows exactly which melons are the ripest. Carl, he is the best at pairing wines with meats. He knows exactly which wine pair to get. So you'd look through their special abilities. One of them might just be standing kick. I mean, who knows? It might not be very useful. 2, I think that they should have somewhat discretion on what you buy. They'd be like, So like you would go up to the thing and be like, "Hey, where's my whipped cream?" They're like, "No whipped cream for you, fatty. You're on a diet." But I wanted chocolate chips. Nope, you're not getting that. Here's some hummus.
They'd be like, yeah, no whipped cream, Cool Whip. It's practically the same thing, half the calories. You're welcome.
Except for then, you know what would happen? The brands would get a hold of them. They'd be like, "Hey, this is Agnes, sponsored by Dairy Gold."
It would be the pharmaceutical industry. The pharmaceutical representative would no longer be like some like young hot chick in like a pantsuit. It would be like a little old lady grocery shopping for you, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, Dairy Gold. You don't want that. You want full fat butter. The taste is amazing."
Right? Everything would be terrible in some ways and then amazing in others.
But having little like bios underneath them telling them like, "Oh yeah, I know how to pick out a good melon," it would be great. For some of them, it'd be like, "I'm Greek." That's all people would need. They'd be like, "Oh hell yeah." let's she's definitely getting our food. She understands me. Like there's certain like cultures that like you'd like, yeah, if I had like for instance, a little Ukrainian woman. You know how many of no, for real. You know how many of our students in our cohort that we went to school with would be like, "Oh, absolutely."
I mean, that's true. My southern grandmother. Except for then, you'd either have to like, what if you needed help for a certain dish, but like you're like you normally go with my southern grandmother, and you're like, "But I need to make some Chinese food." I don't know if she has ever done that. She's 80 years old. She lived in the South her whole life.
Yeah, you could outsource.
I can tell you my grandmother would not be able to help you. But then she might get offended and be like, "You left me. You left me for Carl. How dare you? This relationship is over."
It would be like sports teams. Like in the UK, when they say that your football club you don't pick them, they pick you. Mm-hmm. Like you root for whoever your local one is, man, whether they're good or bad. You live or die by it. Same thing goes with your shopping grandma.
Like, Anita has screwed me right this whole time. I just got to stick with her. But I'm tired of eating mashed potatoes. You're going to eat the mashed potatoes. You're going to like it. You right, not afford to piss her off before your dad's birthday.
Exactly, right? There'd be peak hours and seasons. You'd be like, "All right, so Ingrid, I am looking to make some Szechuan pot stickers." And she's like, "Oh, perfect. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to need is some green peas." Really? Okay. Yeah. And then I got you some carrots. Okay, and some mashed potatoes.
Don't forget the chicken stock.
And some chicken stock. And a little bit of flank steak. And Ingrid, I feel like we're having shepherd's pie again. Nope, these are Szechuan pot stickers. Make it all up into 3 layers and then bake it for $3.50. And you're like, "Thank you, Ingrid." Like you can't afford to piss her off, so you're just eating like her favorite shepherd's pie for the 3rd time that week.
They have like, well, but would make this better as if they had contracts. So you like signed a contract with them, but then you like they and you were free agents after like say 3 months. Mm-hmm. And they're like, it was like bad, but like, or you were rude to them or whatever. But then you want them back. They're like, "Sorry, my price just went up. Mm-hmm. Can't we have a hometown discount?" No. Free agents. "I just got picked up by Whole Foods, so I won't be seeing you anymore."
No, for real though, that would totally change like where you would shop. If you found out that like your lady went from like Fred Meyer over to QFC, you'd be like, "Man, I know they're more expensive, but she knows her stuff."
Yeah, I can't.
The cooking does itself.
I can't lose this. Yeah, it would just be like a Costco model where everything's in warehouses, but you wouldn't even go shopping. Your like shopper person would just be there like getting things for their person all day. I like it. I like it a lot.
There was an episode of Seventh Heaven, and I am dating myself, and you can tell exactly where I'm from. The fact that I remember this. But there was an episode of Seventh Heaven where they were going to have a whole bunch of people over for Thanksgiving dinner, more than usual. And the mom was like super stressed out.
Isn't there like 12 people in that family?
Yes.
Shouldn't,
there's 7 kids, and then there's 2 adults. But then, yeah, they have
I'm just saying, cooking for a lot of people should not be that stressful for these people. That's literally every day.
They should be used to it.
Yeah.
But I guess everyone was bringing their friends or whatever, and there's in-laws and stuff. And so there was this one guy they met at a soup kitchen when they were like volunteering or something. And he was like, oh, yeah, I used to cook, meals for, this, the whole army. I used to cook for a whole platoon. We used to cook big meals. And yeah, I miss it sometimes. And the mom was like, you can cook for us. We'll pay you. And the dad was like, we don't know this guy. He's homeless. and she's like, I'm too stressed right now. And so he told them all these ingredients that they needed. And she's like, okay, I think I can get all that. Oh man, I have no time right now. He's like, you can just give me the money and I can go get the groceries for you. And she goes, that would be perfect. And the dad's like, no, he's clearly grifting us. And then at the end, this guy had gotten all the stuff and went to their house, and they're like, just let yourself in. He gave her keys to the house, and dad's freaking out. And then this dude cooks this huge meal and then just leaves, and then they end up being like, where's Marty? And then they go find Marty and they bring him back, and he has Thanksgiving dinner with them. It's kind of a feel-good moment. But that idea that you could hire a grandma to do your Thanksgiving cooking for you, forget Agnes picking out your groceries. Imagine if Agnes did the full service method where she picked your groceries out. She showed up early. She braised the chicken, everything.
Well, she'd be getting paid a lot.
If you're living on Social Security, one good Thanksgiving can make it to spring.
Right? It's called Blacksgiving, to get in the black.
Exactly.
Isn't that where the term Black Friday came from?
Supposedly, but it's not true.
Oh, really? Because I thought it was from that's the the day that they finally make money, so they get in the black.
That's what they told everyone, and they're like, that's why we can give great deals, because now it's all a profit. Apparently, that's completely fabricated.
It's totally a lie.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But we all bought it, though. We all were like, that makes sense, because people only get paid once a year.
What?
What?
Well, that's not true at all. Oh no. I had a news story and then I totally lost it. Oh no. Oh no. All right, I found it again. Are you ready for the news, by the way?
I am Woody. Woody for the news.
Okay.
Why I had a list there.
I don't know either. It's very, very strange. Okay. It is time to do the news. I love this music. It is delightful, Dafs. Do you love it as much as me?
I do love it. I love it greatly.
You love it so hard. Okay.
So hard.
Dafs, Associated Press. Guests evacuated after boat at Disney World takes on water. Orlando, Florida. A boat filled with guests at Walt Disney World had to be evacuated Thursday after it took on water. No one was hurt, but the passengers aboard the Jungle Cruise boat were evacuated safely by firefighters. And the resort's private government were called to the scene. So apparently they're on this boat. They're doing the Disney Wild River tour, where it's just basically where you go around and automated animals make sounds, and then you're just on a boat. But apparently it sank to the bottom of the river that it was in.
But they all got out totally fine?
Well, it didn't say that. It just said that nobody was hurt. Doesn't mean they didn't, sink down. Which actually is a good question, because do you think there were real alligators in there in that lazy river?
Not a chance. Not after they've had some bad alligator press in the past.
Alligator-related incidents?
Yes, I'm sure there's nothing living in there except for the cats. Did you know there's actually bands of feral cats that live in Disney World?
You can't stop that. I bet there's a snake or two in there.
Well, no, but apparently they allow the cats to be there. They like set up like cat boxes and whatnot because
cat communities.
Yeah, because they like eat all the mice and things that would otherwise be there, and so they just like, yeah, at night there's cats everywhere. We're not sure what to do.
What do we do?
Although I'm gonna be honest, a little bit freaking hypocritical when a mouse is your mascot.
That is pretty terrible.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible. They should have just released. You know what we should do? We should go there and we should release like 50 mice or 100 to celebrate their 100 years.
Large
100 Mickeys.
Genetically modified mice.
And these genetically modified mice are genetically modified how? Are they super intelligent?
They're the size of cats.
Oh my. Rodents of unusual size.
I don't believe in their existence.
How many rodents of unusual size do you think it would take to kill you?
Of those ones, one. Just one.
Yeah, but yet you think that it would take like 50 squirrels to kill you?
Yeah, because squirrels have way smaller teeth. The teeth on that thing was huge.
A bee sting is not that big, and yet can be very deadly.
Let me tell you another story of the news. Now, this one is old, but it's directly related to this. The actor that was in charge of the prop for the rodent of unusual size, he's a little person, so he's around like 3.5 feet tall, right? But he's a professional actor, and he works with a lot of props, and he has a suit that he gets in that is that rodent suit, and he knows how to like do the fighting and all that stuff. When they were filming, he was out getting drunk the night before and got a DUI, and they arrested him, and he wasn't going to make it to the shoot, so he called the director with one phone call, who had to show up to the jail and try to convince these guys they had to let him go because this professional actor, little person, needed to crawl into a giant rat costume and fight a man in a black mask
and attack
in 3 hours.
Carrie Hughes. You have to let him go.
And apparently, they believed it. And they were like, all right, but he's got to come back once he's done. And so they had to bring him back to the jail
prison
afterward. It wasn't even like prison. It was more like the drunk tank. To like finish paperwork and whatnot. Keep in mind, this is an older movie. DUI
this is in the 80s when drinking and driving was just like a lovable offense.
They were like, did you at least do coke to even out? And you're like, no, I was out of coke. And they were like, oh, irresponsible, man.
God, kids these days.
But yeah, I love that story.
That's a good story. I heard a story that on Indiana Jones that there was some snakes that were real and that some of them escaped and are still in the studio to this day.
Yeah, so some of the massive snakes that they had were real large, massive snakes.
Yeah.
But when you're filming on location, you can only do so much.
That's what I heard. It's like some of those snakes really just got away. Maybe that's how Florida ended up infested with snakes in the first place.
I mean, if you think about it, like some of those huge snakes, they don't move that fast. And so I just imagine them like putting down this massive constrictor and then like walking away for a minute to like go yell at some like best boy who's not, like doing the lights quite right.
Yeah.
And the snake is like, yes, free. And it's just like slowly moving toward the trees, just like slowest pace ever. No one notices it because it's like, oh, it's supposed to be here. It's Indiana Jones.
Oh, God. So frightening. Apparently they're making a new Indiana Jones, by the way. And I have a strong suspicion that Indiana Jones is going to be killed in it because I think that Harrison Ford is just going around killing all his most iconic characters so that no one can ever play them again, which is just genius.
No, it's absolutely genius. And actually, I talked to someone just recently about this, how what they need to do is confirm that that's actually what he's doing. And they'd be like, yeah, Han Solo, dead. Indiana Jones, dead. That guy from American Graffiti, freaking dead. Car crash immediately after the end credits.
The fugitive. He's going to be the fugitive again, but this time he's going to get killed. Tommy Lee Jones is going to shoot him in the face.
I just imagine that, like, you're going to have him on SNL, and that's going to be one of the skits. It's going to be him going through all his famous characters, and it's going to be Dr. Richard Kimball is just, like, signing a prescription. He goes, heart attack, and falls down, and then that's the whole scene. It's just every one of his characters dying.
See, it would be much more exciting to me if Tommy Lee Jones kicked in the door and said, "This is a long time coming."
You'd have to actually get real Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, I know. You criminal, you. I came out back from my ranch in Texas to finish the job.
One of my favorite stories about that movie is that line, he improv because he forgot his line. When he goes, "I didn't kill my wife," and Tommy Lee Jones goes, "I don't care." That's not in the script. Him saying "I don't care" is just him ad-libbing it, and they were like, "Oh, that's so good."
What was the line
He's just
supposed
gonna bring
to
him
be?
in no matter. I have no idea. He's like, then explain that in court, or some random thing like that. But it was like, "I don't care," and it was the idea of like, "I'm gonna hunt you forever," and that's when he like turns and leaps. Because he knows, like, there's no reasoning with the law anymore. And, like, it fits so perfectly. But yeah, not in the actual script, apparently.
That's funny. I like it.
I love that.
That was the best and worst news story because it led to some pretty hilarious stories, but it was not related at all. I guess it was roughly related because there's an Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland.
I mean, tangents are really what we're all about here, so I'm going to allow it.
Speaking of tangents, Dafs, what if... Wow, that was a 7-9 minute news story.
I was going to say, we're getting up there, actually. I'm not sure we're going to make it to part 2.
Part 2, we will briefly cover. Speaking of transitions, again, what if there were student loan bounty hunters? What if you miss a payment, and instead of getting a collection notice, you got a foot on your chest? We're bringing you in, punk. You're wanted for $20,000 in an outstanding... What if they took your diploma away?
Wouldn't do most of us much good, honestly.
You're not a teacher anymore. You're not going to be conjunctioning anything. The only thing you're going to be contracting is prison.
Careful.
Prison.
Careful. Oh, that was a longer pause than I was comfortable with. But yeah, so anyways.
Dafs gave me a look that said, just stop while you're behind.
Pull up. So yeah, the idea of student loan bounty hunters is something that I've been kind of tossing around for a little bit now. Basically, Sally Mae can't keep track of anyone or everyone, right? And people are going like overseas and just defaulting because you can't default on student loans, especially if you're in our generation. Like even if you die, your spouse has to pay them, which is crazy. So people have just been like moving to Germany and like defaulting, and they're just like, I can't go back to the States, but that's fine, like whatever. So I thought, people are going to do that here in the States as well, just not get forwarding addresses and just like kind of work under the table. So what if Sally Mae and these companies hired young millennials who need jobs? Essentially you can pay us whatever you want as long as it has healthcare, we're happy. And it would say like student loan bounty hunters. This is Alex, and he owes $60,000. If you can bring him in, we'll give you $30,000 off your student loan debt. So essentially, you're just like hoping that somebody values money less than you do if you're the one who's trying to get away. And so you just be like, last time we heard of him, he was in San Diego. So they just drop you and me out in San Diego. And we have to go find this guy or see where he moved to. You can make this a reality TV show in a heartbeat.
Here's my question. If I commit a crime in the act of my bounty hunting, am I cool?
So in bounty hunting, you're allowed to do a lot of things that are kind of suspect. Similar with repossession.
So
You
like
can,
if I break down the door, I can kick in the door
yes,
and like
you
cause damage. I can
you
vandalize
absolutely
it.
can.
I can puncture his tire so he can't drive to work, and then I tackle him.
You can 100% do all those things. If you are repossessing a car and it is in a garage, you are allowed to open and move the garage and other cars in there in any capacity that you need to in order to get the repossessed vehicle back safely.
Here's
So you can just tear the whole door off.
one. A lot less people would go to college, which could be good or bad.
Honestly, trade school's where it's at.
Unclear. Two, I think the whole society would become far more militant. We'd all have they'd be like, okay, well, we've got your college application. We're already thinking ahead. I know you're only 11, but we're enrolling you in the Key Club and karate. Why the karate? Well, you're either going to be hunting down scofflaws or you're going to be one, and we want you to be prepared.
Mm-hmm. You would have a promissory notice to take out like $70,000 in student loans, and as you sign, someone would like inject you with a tracker in your upper bicep, and you'd be like, "Ow, what was that?" And you're like, "Just an insurance policy." But you could totally turn this into like a reality TV show where just regular schlubs have to go after them.
Here's what's better. This is much better. There is not there's no like bounty hunters. It's just one person. It's the dean of the university. And it's not just like the dean of like recovery or whatever. You can't just hire some security guard to do it. No, it's the actual dean. So if they want your money, the dean has to track you down.
But the dean, they get their money when you're in the school and you pay back Sally Mae after you're out. Yeah. So does Sally Mae say, hey, we lost him, you have to go find this guy?
Yeah. Or else you're not getting government funding.
I think no one would be dean.
See, I like the idea of like a grizzled old dean. Like kind of like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He's like taking it upon himself to track down this person.
It's not even the one who owes the most money. It's the one who is cockiest. Yeah. And it was like, I'm going to take out 20 grand. You won't even bother with me. And he's like, you bet you will.
You bet wrong, son.
At graduation, you throw the caps in the air, and one of them is just shot with a shotgun, and you're like, "Oh no!" And he's like,
"Let that be a warning."
Soon, you got 1 month until the first event.
Yeah, let that be a lesson to the rest of you. You're like at the school. You've taken out the most loans of anyone. The dean like invites you personally to like his house or whatever. He's like, "Oh, welcome, son." He's like holding a shotgun. He's like, "I thought we'd do some skeet shooting." He starts blowing away all these skeet, and he's like kind of casually talking to you, but really, you know that it's like an implicit threat that like if you don't pay back, he's like, "You got a lot of loans there, son. I think you might want to change your major from basket weaving." Something more profitable.
They'd have all this background information on you, and they'd be like, couldn't help but notice your whole family moved to the East Coast. You wouldn't be planning on skipping town now, would you?
I think your mother, Delia, bless her heart,
who works at the flower shop on 3rd and Main, would find that very disturbing.
I like that our bounty hunter dean has immediately become like this grizzled old Southern man.
Oh, of course.
Who's very slippery. Much
Who else is going to agree to be a dean?
Slippery Pete. Hey everybody, it's Slippery Pete.
By any means necessary, Slippery Pete.
Yeah.
He goes by the new Batman rules.
By any means necessary.
I'll give you a quarter if you let me use the deep fryer.
Yeah, that's...
And he's just holding some kid with like a bag over his head, like struggling. And you're like, oh no.
Slippery Pete here. Yeah, Slippery Pete saying that he'll give you a quarter if you let use the deep fryer is one of the creepiest things that I could think of. I'll give you a quarter if you let me use the deep fryer. Yeah, Slippery Pete would be a great dean. I'd pay to watch that show.
Yeah.
I think crime would go way up because our regard for other humans would go way even further down than it already is.
Oh, absolutely. And you would start to change the way you view money and view debt. So this is the second part of the student loan debt dyad, is that you would have casinos, but instead of gambling with money, which none of us have, you'd gamble with student loan debt, which all of us have. And so you could spend a day at the casino and walk away with no debt and be like, I'm free. It's great. Or you could come home and be like, oh man, I got the student loan debt of a family of 4. Like, you're just like way more in deep. You hear a knock at the door. It's the dean.
Yeah.
But I didn't even go to that school. But your money did.
I like that.
You could have like multiple deans team up because you'd have all these different student loan debts from different universities. But only the one that takes you in gets the money.
See,
oh man!
But I would
old little deans.
There would be a movie about it. It would be called Lone Hunter, or something like that, where this like hotshot lone hunter is like hunting this person, only to find that they're hunting him, and they get caught up in a cat and mouse game.
Mm-hmm.
Or
it's essentially enemy at the gates.
Yeah,
but with
like
more people dying.
Or like the best bounty hunter suddenly finds that he has had debts put onto him, like because there's some person after him, like in the inside and internal affairs, who set him up, and they transferred like hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt onto him. He has the debt of a neurosurgeon.
I mean,
and now they're all after him. And he has to figure out who it is and get away.
That's the thing about being a debt bounty hunter is it only pays as much as you can take in. And so if you don't get that person's bounty, maybe a portion of their debt goes on to your debt. So if you're not a very good bounty hunter, eventually you're having to take on bigger and bigger scores to try to break even. And then eventually you become the hunted. And you need to get your mark before they get you.
When the hunter becomes the hunted. It's Lone Hunter.
Set in like the perfect like Bonanza style like, intro. A nice 1980s sitcom or TV show.
Oh man, I like it. I would watch that show. This is Stacy. Stacy is a teacher. She has a master's degree and owes $75,000. She was last seen at the Pomona Middle School. It's like her walking out, like, see you later, kids. Dafs just like full out tackles her. You're coming in, punk. I think emigration, not immigration, but emigration would go way up.
Oh, yeah. People will be leaving it nonstop.
In droves.
Which would then bring you to Lone Hunter International. But you can't actually kidnap someone and bring them back legally. But Sally Mae has to get their money sooner or later.
Batman style.
So, yeah, it would absolutely be like a black bag operation. Yeah. You'd like find some guy like in the Netherlands just like as a barista.
Yeah.
He owes $20,000 for microbiology like, in the
Hi,
States.
Steve. He turns around. He's been going by like, I don't know, Klaus.
Yeah. Right. You just see a bag go over his head, and then he wakes up in Toledo, Ohio, like a week later.
Welcome
Please,
back home.
I'll do anything. No, you'll do exactly what we say. You're going to be a barista again, but this time for minimum wage in America.
No.
They garnish his wages.
Oh man. Yeah, I'd watch that show. I'd definitely watch that show until my son ended up on it or something. I feel like
Right.
it'd be like Cops. It'd be like seeing your family member on Cops. You'd be like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. I never thought that one of my family members would be on Lone Hunter.
Well, eventually you get to the point where, we all have student loans, and then like our kids are going to have student loans. You'd have kids turning in their parents to
Right?
get discounts on
It
that.
would be like anarchy.
1940s Germany.
They like come and grab you like, no, my dad's a lawyer. He's got $1 million of debt. Go after him.
There's just like Sally Mae Youth instead of Hitler Youth.
Oh
It's
no.
just like,
The Sally Mae Youth Program. It's the strength through payback
yes.
program. I like it. I would watch that show, and I think that we should probably wrap it up. We
I
are
think so,
at
too.
about an hour. Holy moly.
It's a solid episode.
It's quite long. I did not anticipate it being this long. I thought it would be quite short. But I was very, very wrong. Which has never happened before. I'm generally perfect and a genius in most every way. So, anything else to say? No, me either.
That's everything for me.
That's it from me, too. So, I'm Rick.
I'm Dafs.
Have a good one.